Starting a session, I'd like everyone to switch on their camera and look at it. Let me quote you Philip Greenspan. Like most people and atoms, the vision of future is seen as industry of coming prodigious years. Greetings everyone, my name is and I welcome you all for a very perspicacious and enchanting Navsamvad session with Industry Interaction Cell. Today, to make our boring Sunday into an energetic one and fill it with alacrity, we have with us an eminent personality, light source of resource, and contains huge knowledge in the corporate field, has a sound understanding of management, and have impacted, having worked in some great companies, including Force Motors Limited, Fiat India Automobiles, Tata Chemicals, Group. I can assure you with the robust knowledge sharing we'll be having today. Today, he would be speaking with us on the topic Bridge from Academia to Industry and Understanding the Aspects of Excellence, followed by a 15 minutes Q&A session. Please help me in welcoming the person who has a career spanning over 20 in HR and BE, has been a thoughtful leader enabling business delivery across geographies, President and Head HR Practices at Tata Business Excellence Group, Mr. Deepak Deshpande. The stage is all yours.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Let me know if you can, if I'm audible, loud and clear.
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So once again, a very good morning to each one of you. Thanks to IIM Jammu, Navendu, for giving me this opportunity. Like you rightly said, Sunday morning, maybe this is the reason I'm not attired in a corporate aspect. But yes, I was looking forward to this Nav Samvad, and Samvad is basically a conversation. And I'm sure that as we progress, this conversation or this Samvad would really be a great learning experience for me as well. I believe there are significant amount of students, learners like me, because I also consider myself to be a learner for life, to kind of understand and have this conversation, learn from each one of you. So once again, a huge thanks to Navendu and the team for giving me this opportunity to engage and interact with all of you. Um, so the theme which has been shared with me, where I'll be sharing some of my thoughts, some of my stories, some of my failures, my vulnerabilities, is about my own bridge. And as we are going to discuss the aspect of journey, as in the journey over the bridge, be it academia to industry or various facets of life, I'll be sharing what I have gone through, and I'd also be very keen to know and understand from each one of you. And compliments to all of you here, because just getting into IIM is not a very mere achievement. That itself is a huge achievement. And I'm sure each one of you have followed your own ways and discovered excellence, what matters to you. So there is no one way of crossing the bridge. This bridge could be from academia to industry. The bridge could be your corporate, it could be your education, it could be your health, it could be your wellness. It could be any bridge that we all have in our lives, right? And some aspects of excellence which I feel have helped me, which I have been more reflective on, is what I'll be sharing. So that's something which I intend to do to make this a samvad in true sense, because I do not want to have it a monologue. At any point of time, feel free to kind of interject with your thoughts, observations, as well as feelings. So I don't want it only to be high information, because information is something which would lead to more knowledge. As Vaibhav mentioned, it's going to be energetic, and to make it energetic would require a whole lot of emotions. So I'm just wondering, how can we have more emotions as we progress? Only when we have a right set of information, emotions, that's where the energy gets created. So please use the chat box, use reactions to let me if you're fully there with me, and to kind of take this samvad forward. Great, wonderful. So please liberally use the reactions, the chat box to stop me, because I definitely don't want it to make a one way or a monologue, but make it more as a samvad in real sense. Right, great. Thank you so much for all your reactions which are coming in. Really appreciate. So let me just ask you to type a one word feeling that you are having right now. Use the chat box and just type in the one word feeling that you have. And it's okay to have a positive feeling, a non-positive feeling, or a negative feeling, whatever it is. A feeling is a feeling. So can I request you to just put in a uh, use the chat box to put in your feelings. It seems you are having some starting problem. Excited, great. Kshitij says excited, wonderful. Thank you, Kshitij. So one you're feeling, like I said, it's okay. We are not here to have only positive feelings. Feelings are feelings. It can be positive, it can be not so positive, it can be neutral also. Anybody else? Tired, yeah, completely understand. Bliss, okay, thank you. Curious, optimist, wonderful. Great. So I was also a little tired. I had my workout. I went for a game of badminton, so a little tired, but I'm looking forward to this tremendous source of energy that I'm looking forward to get it from each one of you. Happy, excited, excitement. Wonderful. Kunal says curious. Chinmay says excitement. I'm sure others are also there, right? Sleepy. Yeah, Mukesh. Thanks for being really candid. So that is what is required. Be interest, eager, motivated. Yeah. So don't worry about what I have to say. Typically, when I have such sessions, conversations, and what is important for a very meaningful, effective samvad are at least three dimensions. The first dimension is the physical safety. So I believe all of you are at a safe space. All of us are using a headphone. So do ensure that you are safe where you are, wherever you are. In case there are any alarms, ensure that you attend to those. So that's the physical safety, right? The second aspect is intellectual safety, and to have a very good, meaningful, concrete samvad or conversation, I feel the intellectual safety, as in not being afraid to raise a point, ask a question, is what would provide intellectual safety, right? So I call it PIES. So typically when we do this workshops, P is for physical safety, I is for intellectual safety. And there's no question which is a stupid question, or why should I ask, or what will others feel or say if I ask this question. So I just wanted to ensure that we are creating the safe space for all of us. So physical safety, which is there, which we'll have to take care of. I is intellectual safety, which is perfectly fine to share what you think. Don't worry about the question, quality of questions, and let's just respect each other, promise each other that will not be judgmental on who's saying what. And it's okay, perfectly fine to say, I don't know, or I'm not here to give a lecture or a gyan. Like I said, I have myself lots of areas where I can improve, and I'm looking forward to learn from you. The third element is PIE. E is emotional safety. So emotional safety is basically how do you provide the necessary care, respect to each one of us over here. I don't know. I could see the last count was more than 100. It's almost 215 plus people over here. So how can we provide this emotional safety to each one of us in terms of care, in terms of respect, is what we need to be mindful of. And the last aspect is social. So how do you have fun during this 1 hour? So somewhat doesn't have to be very serious. We can all enjoy, have good fun, and take it forward. Great, wonderful. So welcome back, and really excited to share some of my thoughts, conversations with all of you. And I was looking at your website. One thing which really excited me was your values, and from there, I could see that excellence is a value which is there in your organization. So was really delighted. So I was wondering, what would excellence mean to each one of you? If you can use the chat box or just kindly unmute and speak about it, we'll just spend around 30 seconds to 1 minute. What does excellence mean to you? Yeah, you can use the chat box or unmute yourself and just put in, because excellence is one of your values, right? And I believe when we are learning, we are doing something, we do it flawless. Wow, wonderful. Being great at anything you do. Great, wonderful. Drive for perfection. Being perfect at your task. Wonderful, great. Surbi says flawless. Lakshya Jain, efficient with a question mark. I don't know. Means being the best version of ourselves. Wonderful. Mushahid, really like your saying. Great, great. Can I have some more thoughts? What does excellence mean to you? Doing what you love passionately, having diverse opinion on different topics. Wonderful. Aditya, pushing limits. Great, wonderful. Extremely good with whatever we have. Best at what you love. Wonderful. Best at what you love at is what Karan is saying. Commitment to being best. Arushi is saying that. Putting your best to the task. Anshu, thank you. Great. So yeah, so excellence is all that you just mentioned, and probably more standing out while doing task in an efficient manner. Great, wonderful. So we'll not get into the aspect of excellence. Um, since I've been with Tata Business Excellence Group, excellence is something which we deal with, but I always realize that there are new ways, new definition of what excellence could be. And for me, it's something, how can one be a better version of oneself in the given context? Working with diligence and sheer perseverance, wonderful. Thank you. So let's kind of move on. So for me, the genesis of excellence comes from this great gentleman, J.R.D. Tata. One must forever strive for excellence or even perfection in any task, however small, and never be satisfied with the second best. So this has been really profound for me. So it's not only what I do, matters in terms of the corporate, but whatever I do, which matters for me. I'm still trying to understand and leave the definition of excellence, find out new ways of excellence, what it would mean for me in my context. So similarly, it would mean different things for different contexts. So this is the genesis which we have been doing. And just to give a brief, Tata Business Excellence Group is a division of Tata Sons where we kind of assess how well our companies are being run. And this is something which we have been doing for last 28 years. So we've got around 75 different companies within the group, and every company gets assessed in terms of how well the organization is doing in terms of leadership, in terms of products, services. So we believe in have doing our business in an ethical manner. That is where we have Tata Code of Conduct, and we believe in doing our business in an excellent manner. That is where we use a framework called Tata Business Excellence Model. Of course, the idea is not to get into that framework model, but there are 8 alphabets which I have learned, and this is something which I've been using for last almost 14, 15 years. And that is something which I would want to share with you. It's not that you've not been doing, all of us have been doing, but now I think I've got a structure and I know which aspect of that structure I need to use it when I'm crossing any bridge. Though it's the theme is around the bridge from academia to industry, but for me, like I said, the bridge could be anything. For now, it seems from academia to industry, but I'm sure each one of us have our own bridges. And what's more important is the journey. So it's always that once we cover a bridge, once we reach the other side of the bridge, there'll always be a new bridge, and there'll be multiple bridges that each one of us would be crossing. And how do I leverage, or how do we leverage aspects of excellence as we cross the bridge? So let me just share a couple of examples of how I have been trying to uh, cross my own bridges. I have been trying to understand that crossing a bridge, reaching a destiny, is as important as the journey of crossing the bridge itself, right? So here goes the first one. So I never liked swimming, right? So I can swim, but I was really pathetic. I never really enjoyed swimming. And I wanted to do scuba diving. So that's where I realized that, and that's where I realized that it's something which I'd want to explore new facets of life, the life under the water. And knowing that I was not really a great swimmer, I had to actually put in lots of efforts to kind of improve on my aspect of swimming. So this is my one journey, one story which I wanted to share with all of you, and this is something which it also correlates with the transition from academia to a real world. So I started swimming and could do some good, let's say 1,000 meters, which is almost a kilometer of swim non-stop. Because if you need to get certified on scuba diving, you need to have various aspects. So there are lots of things. There's lots of science to it. Typically, more of classroom sessions, classroom lectures, which I went through some e-learning modules. It's very important to understand buoyancy, our own body, how we breathe, the patterns of breathing, the equipments that we cover, and everything was in terms of e-learning. So that's something which I kind of picked up. And once I was interested, I found that it was something which I really liked. And like I said, just reading or going through modules was not good enough. There were some tests which I did, which I passed. Did it pretty well. Also entered into a simulated scenario environment, which is basically a swimming pool, where we start the journey of the scuba diving at different depths, different sign language. As we all know, as we get into water, our inherent ability to communicate just vanishes. So we need to understand some sign languages and so on. So that's something which I learned in a in an environment which was made to ensure that the learning happens over there. So I was equipped for my first scuba dive, and I was quite excited. And that's where I uh, enter the water. And typically, when you do a scuba diving, you do it in pair. So it's actually you and somebody with you who's typically a buddy, and there'll be a trainer. So this was my first scuba dive at a depth of 10 meters, and so it was amazing. So in a way, I did really well in terms of the academics or the portion which I had to clear. I cleared almost like 90-95% without any glitches. I did very well in the swimming pool, could cover, had significant improvement in my speed. I did so well that now I've started competing in swimming competitions, and I've been able to enhance my stamina and so on. So I did very well from the academic perspective. I did very well from the swimming pool perspective. What all I had to do, I did quite well. So the first day came in where I had to get into the pool and get into the open seas and actually experience scuba diving at around 10 meters. And there is a technique. You can't just go down, or once you are at a certain distance, you can't just escalate or come up, because there are various factors, and it might be a life threatening if it is not done well. So at around 10 meters, when I was kind of experiencing, exploring, doing this thing, so just imagine, for my college, for my practicals, I was actually in a open pool, open sea water doing that. Something happened. I don't know what happened. For a second, I felt that there was some water which seeped inside. And like I said, I was with my buddy, was actually my best friend. So I was kind of calling him, but I realized that at 10 meters within the water, you can't speak, right? And you can't say, hi, Sandeep, his name was, I need your help. And it was also his first dive, and he was also drifting. And that is when I realized the power of a simple communication of just saying, hi, please hold on, I need some help. He moved on. My trainer, who was a Dutch trainer, very experienced scuba diver at a very high level of proficiency, he was also moving forward. And suddenly, one things get on the wrong side. There is a trigger of things which went on. So suddenly, I realized that there was water which was seeping in, and my buoyancy was not working. So instead of holding on to 10 meters, I was actually going down, and I was unable to call or reach out to my buddy, neither to the trainer. So when I looked up, it was like almost 10 meters, and I realized that, boss, I can't go up because if I just go up, it could you actually have nitrogen which might get into your blood and it might cause some kind of a damage. So I was literally scared and I was not sure what would happen. So that was the life-changing moment for me. Fortunately, the trainer was there. They are all trained, and he came and he helped me have my breaths. That's why I realized the importance of those one or two breaths, which right now we are doing as a process, right? Each one of us is breathing in, breathing out, and we are pretty okay with it. But at 10 meters down, I realized the importance of one breath, which was so important for me at that point of time. And we evacuated. So that was my first dive, a total disaster. But it's shared lots of lessons for me in terms of whatever I did in terms of my academics. Going through all the lessons, I was number one. All the modules, I had everything in terms of the biology, the water, the chemistry, everything was there. In terms of doing it well in the pool, I had done it, but I don't know what happened when I was there in the open seas. And that's where I realized that you just need to be with the nature and adapt with things. So in a way, for a moment, I was shocked. As soon as we came in, the first thing our the trainer gave us was a bashing, saying that what were you doing? Both of you, buddy, were supposed to be together, help together. And after he gave us a nice, good bashing, then he asked us, "Do you want to do it again?" So I said, I had an option. I mean, but I said, no, let me try again. So after, let's say, half an hour, we went back again. And so that was a defining moment for me. So when you take an analogy from, so that was my bridge of confidence that I can do anything if I've done so well in whatever was required. I have done so well in the practicals, in the pool. I can do very well anywhere. So that is where I learned the reality of adaptation. Four things which really important. Two is I realized at that point of time, just the intention is not good enough. I also need to have a good sense of attention. So maybe at that point of time, I was not attentive to things which were happening over there, and I was not aware of what's happening over there. I was aware those things which are happening. So with all the right intentions, but the attention, awareness, the lack of it, I think was something which made me aware that anything that I do, I need to be more aware of those aspects. And that's something which has helped me on my journey of crossing any bridges. So that was my aspect. So what I've learned is it's not about perfection. Probably it is about perfection, certainly, but it's also about progression. And that's where I realized, and that's been a first dive for me, which has taught me the importance of that one breath, the importance of one hi. So anybody calls me, hey, hi, Deepak, or hi, Didi, that's how I'm addressed. So I do make it a point to listen to them, because I realized when I wanted to speak to somebody, that person was not unable to hear me. So those are those two lessons which I really appreciate. The second one is my own fears. So as a 5 6 year old boy, I had come across a reptile, a snake, and I was so scared. I still remember. I was totally shocked, and I was coming back from school and walking, and then a huge cobra just passed me, and I actually, without even knowing, I think the fear or flight kind of this thing came in, and I uh, ran or almost jumped behind 5 6 feet. So that day I was totally stunned. I said, I mean, I was never used to what it is. So I had this fear in my mind, and every time I saw a snake, I was really fearful. So using the same aspect, I've realized that okay, it's also a creation of nature, and how do I cross that bridge of mine in terms of fear? If I had not crossed it, I'd never kind of get into other aspects. So so that's another bridge I have crossed. I'll not get into it because there are some aspects of excellence which I wanted to share with you, and also have another thoughts of you with all of you. So broadly, some analogies are each one of us have our own worldviews which come from our own experiences, our own beliefs. our own dilemmas, and to address those, are there any alternate beliefs? I'm not an expert, I'm not a guru, but each one of us have our own experiences, our own learnings. So go back to your own experiences and look for any alternate beliefs which would give you a better way. I'm not saying what you're doing is not good, but is there a better version of how you can deal with the situation? So that's where I'm wanting to learn from each one of you over here. Moving on, this is another story of mine. So again, probably around 8 to 10 years, I was bit by a small puppy, right? I mean, actually, something like this. So after that, I had to take, in our days, there used to be 14 injections, and those 14 injections had to be taken on the stomach. So after that, I never had even a picture of a puppy or a dog in my room anywhere. I was so damn scared of dogs, though I love them, but I was really, really scared of animals or dogs. So that was another fear. That was another bridge which I had to surpass. And the way I could do it is around mm, 20 years back. I was part of a workshop, and in a workshop, we were all doing some psychological process, and a team member came with me who was actually mm, visually impaired. He couldn't see. So he was part of my team. So the moment I came and I said, I'm somebody who would always like to win and do the best, but now there's somebody in my team who's unable to see. So I was really afraid. I mean, how is our team going to perform? Because for me, winning was everything. I then realized that Devanshu, who's a great friend of mine, is with me, with my team. He's going to drag the entire team down, and maybe I'll not be able to do well. Our team may not win because I was very much more competitive and already had those biases, like that a person who's visually challenged is part of the team, and our team will not do well. But that particular day when we started in, I realized that the different senses he was bringing onto the table were just amazing. I mean, all of us with all the five, six senses that we have, he was bringing something unique, and actually our team ended up not only winning but being far ahead of the rest of the five, six teams which do lots of works. That day evening, we went to a colleague's house where the moment we entered, there were two big dogs which came in. So I told Abba, I'm not coming in. Damn scared of dogs. I'm staying out. You please tie them. But I saw this guy, Divanshu, who just walked inside, started playing with them, huddling them. And so that was again a eye-opening moment for me. I'm saying that, I mean, here I am, and I'm so scared. And here is Divanshu who's going, playing with those dogs, huge dogs, and both of us going to Abha's place for the first time, seeing the dogs for the first time, and he's just cuddling, loving them, and so on. So that is where I realized that there is this deep, intense fear that I need to overcome. And if I don't do that, probably I'll never be able to kind of understand and go beyond that aspect of discomfort. So that's where I realized there is this area of comfort or discomfort, and beyond that is what growth comes in. So that was another moment for me, another bridge for me, which I had to overcome. So thankfully, so I took up those steps. I went in, interacted, played with those dogs, and after that, I've realized that I'm really friendly with all the dogs, and I'm okay. Even if a dog bites me, I'm fine. So it's not that if an event happens, that would go back to my earlier belief that all dogs are bad, all dogs are pathetic. So I'm okay with that aspect that dogs are dogs. I mean, the beautiful creature, beautiful creation of the God, and I need to just be just with them. So it's not that I've not been bitten; I've been bitten, but now I know that it's way of life. So that's something which I wanted to share with you. Three instances, stories. So let me just take a pause. I've been continuously talking for last almost 30 minutes. Let me take a pause and see if anybody.
हाँ 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 हम देखो ट्राई करते हैं। हम अभी 10 मिनट बाद ट्राई करते हैं, नहीं होता है तो फिर
Yeah, anybody wants to share anything? I think Anurag's microphone went unintentionally on off mute. Anybody wants to share anything, ask anything before we move on? I've just shared my experience, good or bad, I don't know. Like I said, I have my own vulnerabilities. That's where I shared, because as we move on your journey from academia to industry, It's going to be a journey. It's not a destination. Any thoughts or any key takeaways? Anything else anybody would want to share? Just keep those PIES in mind. There's nothing like a stupid question. Be respectful, be caring to each one of us. So any key takeaways, what I have learned or what anybody can learn. I'm not saying there have to be, but I want to have this as a somewhat. I don't want it to make it a monologue. So any thoughts, you can use the chat box. Any key learnings, um, insights. Yeah. So Nirjar says that we should face new challenges and not fear them. Great. Thanks. Thanks, Sharmaji. Anybody else? Anyone can learn anything if they outcome their fears. Wonderful. Thanks, Gagan. Be open to new experiences. Be brave enough to face your fears. Absolutely. Things aren't really bad in real as in our imagination. Absolutely. Growth comes once you step out of your comfort zone. In my opinion, progression matters more than achieving perfection. Wonderful, Husenji. Seeking discomfort and get out of your comfort zone. Wonderful. We should not fear while coming out of our comfort zone. Wonderful. Great. Yeah, wonderful. I think the way you have summed it is great. We should be open for new to come and be a great learner. Thanks, Shivya. Identify gaps and work on them, keeping the journey part in mind. Wonderful. Forget the past experiences and come out of fear. Great. Wonderful. Great. So thank you so much. So let's move on. So it's part of this journey. So like I said, there are this 8 alphabets which I've been using. And it's not that each one of us can't do it. We all have new resolutions, right? Sometimes we succeed. Most of the times, you and I don't succeed. So what is that aspect of journey which we need to be more mindful of, focus on? Sometimes challenges and our fears seem the mountain towards us, but once we climb that, the world is behind us. It makes us a conqueror. Wonderful. That's Anshu. Raj says to overcome fear, you have to acknowledge the fear. That helps in making journey easier. Great, wonderful. So let's move on. So this is what I was talking about, those 8 alphabets, A, D, L, I, and LATCI. So I'll just talk very briefly and then we'll get into the details. So A basically stands for approach, D stands for deployment, L stands for learning, and I stands for integration. We'll get into it. And these are some of the learnings people who have been part of TQM, Total Quality Management, might have heard this words of PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act, or SDCA. So these are similar words which talk about approach, deployment, learning, integration, from a process perspective. If we have to do something, there's a process. But when there's a process, there's always a result. So how do we look at the result is through LETCI. LE is levels, trends, comparisons, and importance of those results. So those are those aspects which I thought let me just share with you. And these are the words which are coming from this 4 frameworks. Like I said, within the Tata Group, we have been using those 4 frameworks. The one on the left, which is the Tata, let me just see if I can use the pointer. So the one on the left is the Tata Business Excellence model, which I've been using for last 28 years based on Malcolm Baldrige model. The second one is data maturity and data excellence model. Third is social excellence. And the final one is the safety excellence. So and of course, we have got some other more frameworks also in terms of sustainability, cyber security, and so on. But what I have learned and try to implement it in my journey of excellence. So it's not just business excellence, but I've seen that those concepts of ADLI can be applied in education excellence. It can be applied in health, fitness excellence. And if time permits, I'll share my own example of how I'm trying to get onto that journey of my own fitness goals. It can be tried in any sort of excellence which requires relationship excellence and so on and so forth. So those are those alphabets ADLI, and I thought probably sharing those aspects might be of help to each one of us as we progress on our life journeys. Okay. So the origin of the ADLI, LETCI, and these are the acronyms which I'll be working using. ADLI is approach, deployment, learning, integration. LETCI is levels, trends, comparison, and integration. Okay, so let's do a quick exercise. So if you have to name a company, which would that company be? A world-class company. Use the chat box and I can, yeah, other than Tata. So let me say Tesla, wonderful. Great. Amazon, wonderful. What else? Google, great. Hindustan Unilever, wonderful. Coca-Cola, wonderful. Great. So Microsoft, Aditya Birla, Daimler, JSW, Apple, great. I was just waiting for Apple. Wonderful. So there'll be a whole lot of other companies which are there. So now let me ask you, what makes these companies great companies? Why do you think these companies are great? What makes them great? So I'll not use a Mentimeter, but since the chat is working, we can use this. So thanks for sharing. The idea is not to see which is the best company, but what makes this company great companies. Integrity, wonderful. Rahul says integrity. What else? Market power, Rolly. The brand value which they carry, excellent products, great. Because they are constantly improving upon their service quality. Social responsibility, wonderful, Prabhakaran. Ethos, Karan says, great, wonderful. What else? What is Apple known for? What is Google known for? Sustainability, great, wonderful. Quality, great. Innovation, wow, wonderful. Thank you so much. What else? Revolution, okay. Marketing offerings for whom? For being a first of its kind. So in a way, being innovative. Consistently excellent. Market offerings for whom? Who do they serve? Who do they serve? Tata for moral and social value. Yeah, brand equity, customers. Excellent, Karan. Thank you so much. So it's around customer excellence, consumer excellence, right? Wonderful. So actually, if you look at those all those great companies, they have certain core values which really make them great or world-class companies, and that's what will be looking at. So when we look at a Tata Business Excellence model, which is based on Malcolm Baldrige model or European quality framework, every model looks at some core values. And if you look at it, the companies that we mentioned would be using those core values in a very would be as a way of life. When you look at Google, the way they take decisions, the way they come out with new products and so on is really amazing. So we've just done this exercise. We'll skip this. We'll not get into this. Okay, so some common attributes of excellence. So there is this research which has been done, which says that there are some 11 core values which makes these companies world-class companies, right? And if we apply some framework to see how these companies are doing, we'll basically look at how well these companies are doing on those 11 core values. So first is the systems perspective. Second is visionary leadership. We all know about various visionary leadership from various companies. I'll not get into it, but there are people who are known only by the leaders from this particular companies. It is customer focused excellence. We got so many aspects from customer focused excellence. It's also valuing people or people focused excellence, how well they take care of their own people and so on. It is agility and resilience, how quickly they are able to move and change things, not only speed, but also change direction as and when required. It's around organizational learning, how quickly is the organization learning and moving forward. It's around focus on success and innovation. So it's not just innovation in terms of filing patent, but how do patients, but how innovation can be leveraged to be successful in the marketplace. It's about management by fact. It's about taking decisions which are very fact based, which are very data centric decisions. It is societal contribution. We spoke about it, and it is about ethics and transparency, right? So these are the and delivering value and results. So this is where the companies get evaluated, the market cap gets decided on quarter to quarter basis. So these are those 11 core values of high performing companies, what make them excellent companies. And if you actually reflect, and if I do ask you to do a quick survey, probably you will say that, okay, in let's say in Apple, it is innovation. When it comes to, let's say, Apple, again, it could be visionary leadership, or it could be General Electric when it comes to management by fact, the way they take data. When it comes to Google, it is valuing people. And similarly, there are various other companies which would play out those values pretty well, right? So we are going to understand if what works for these companies in terms of their vision, mission, and strategic objectives. So these are the core values, right? We spoke about those 11 core values, but those 11 core values have been embedded through processes in terms of the experiences that we get. You all mentioned about the companies that you mentioned because of our own personal experiences, and those values get translated through processes. And that's why we are saying that the customer experience is good, or they are societally responsible, or they're coming out with new products, or their HR, or they are very people centric, or their leaders are good, or their quarterly results are fantastic. So those values, just being values doesn't help. They have to translate into processes which lead to an experience. So that is what we call an approach, right? Every organization has an approach of translating those values through a process, set of processes or systems, in which is called as a approach. And no two companies would be doing it similarly. So there is this approach which makes a huge difference. So each one of us has an approach. You had an approach when you got admission at this premier institute. You will have an approach when you are applying for a job, or applying through campus, or wanting to be an entrepreneur, where you'll be having your own set of values. We'll get into an exercise provided if you have some time. So you'll have your own values. We have our own vision over here, right? So each one of us has our own vision, what you'd want to be now, or you'd want to be in the future. We have our mission, why we exist, right? So difference between a mission and a vision is, mission is why we exist, and vision is what we would want to achieve. What we would want to achieve can be over a period of 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I want to be a doctor. I want to be the best doctor. Could be a vision. I want to serve the society can be a mission, right? And our own values, saying that, okay, I'll be disciplined. I'll be hardworking. I'll be happy to sacrifice. I'll be networking. I'll learn. I'll be a learner for life. So those are the values. So those values get transpired into process, and that is what we call an approach. But just having an approach is not good enough. It needs to be deployed. And those processes put into practice is what we call it as a deployment. And here, let me share this example of many people. Of course, most of you are young, energetic, but typically, if you see December 30th to 1st of Jan is when most of the gyms get their memberships renewed, or new members come and join memberships. So what's happening over there? So people have said, अरे यार इस साल न्यू ईयर रेजोल्यूशन लेना है, and वेट कम करना है, या तो फिट होना है, ये होना है. And many people go and take, and this is actually a fact, they take membership and say that, okay, they go and buy things, shoes liya, ye liya, wo liya, sab kuch liya. So they have an approach in mind, okay, saying कि 1st of Jan से 4 बजे 5 बजे उठेंगे, जिम को जाएंगे, ये करेंगे. Probably they'll do it for a day, may do it for a second day. But what sometimes lacks is the deployment. Are we doing it consistently over a period of time? So that is that aspect of deployment in terms of breadth and width. So that becomes really important. Let's say somebody wants to be fit, or somebody wants to participate into a competition, win a competition. Somebody wants to take up an educational goal, saying that let me be the best student of the year, or let me get into the best of the company. When I say company, it need not be a particular company, right? it could be any other different aspects. So there's always an approach, but that approach only at an approach level is just an intent. It has to be deployed. Till I get up in the morning, do it consistently, daily, only then it works. And we all know that by 10th of Jan, अरे यार लिया था but नहीं यार ये नहीं है, time नहीं मिलता, वो नहीं मिलता. So that's an excellent example of a deployment gap. We all have approaches, we all have intent, but the deployment becomes a challenge, right? But here I'm not talking about approach deployment, because each one of you have excelled in your own way of life. You're really doing quite well. What really matters is the result part of it. So when we deploy, we have the results. So results is something which tells us कि अरे boss 5-4 बजे अलार्म रखा था, सवेरे में उठा हूँ या नहीं है. So that's a result. Anything which gets deployed immediately will tell us a result. So let's say if I start waking up in the morning, I go to the gym, it shows that, okay, my in-process results or lead indicators are there. Probably over a month of time, I'll realize that that the needle is moving. My weight is reducing, or my flexibility is improving, or my stamina is improving. Everything is measurable, which will tell me that yes, my results are either coming in, or the needle might go in opposite direction, saying that boss, I have not got up, and hence I'm not my weight is not reducing, or I'm not being more flexible, or more stamina is not increasing. And so results are there. So results are truth, which tell you if the deployment is happening or not happening. And then we have 100,000 bahanas to say why it is not happening. So what becomes more important is from the results, how do we learn and evaluate, keeping our overall vision in mind? If we want to achieve something, how do we keep on achieving that with the vision, mission, and values, keeping the aspect of learning and improving? So for example, there are many who start, and I'm taking a generic example of weight reduction, right? Where most of us will be able to relate. At least may not be in your age group, but certainly the people who try to kind of either put on weight or reduce weight, and so, or increase stamina, or increase speed, and so on. So the approach is there, deployment is there, results are there, results are improving. But suddenly you realize that the results have improving, but have come to a level of saturation. They are not improving beyond that. That is when the learning and improvement evaluation comes in. So for me, my journey was, I woke up, I did my things, I ran 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers with dedication, 1 month, 2 month. Initially, I found that I was gaining all the necessary benefits through results. But after some point of time, the needle stopped moving. That is when I realized, boss, approach is there, deployment is there, but the results are not moving. Initially, the results were giving me significant benefits. But after that, it stopped. The benefits were not really there. Then I realized that I need to tweak my approach. So what is the tweaking in approach? Okay, I'm just doing cardio. Just doing cardio is not going to help. I need to do some weight training. So I've tweaked my approach, saying that, okay, 3 days in a week, I'll do cardio, 3 days in a week, I'll do strength training. With that, it again helped me to enhance it a little bit. So my the needle again improved, my flexibility improved. So I play badminton also, I swim, like I said. So if I had to improve my speed, I had to reduce my weight, I had to reduce my fat content. And that is when I realized that some things are not happening. So I changed my training. So in a way, I changed my approach a bit. After some time, again, I hit a saturation. Again, things were not happening, things were not improving. Then I realized, why is it happening? What more do I need to do? That is when I realized that through study research, that exercising is only 20% of your health goals. It's actually dieting. What you eat is more important than what you do. So at my age, so again, the context is very important, right? At my age, my metabolism is very different. At your age, your metabolism, the context at which each one of us is very different. I to then that realization came in that diet is very important. So 80% is diet. So focusing on diet, what I eat. So I have to again tweak my approach in terms of, okay, what I eat. So it's not just the quantity, but the quality. I got into more understanding that what I eat is not just what you just eat. It has lots of aspects like micro and macro in terms of your proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and so on. So again, my journey started. So the idea is You have an approach, you have a deployment, you get results. From the results, you see if you're on track, or you change certain aspects where you compare, you see where you want to be, you change your approach, you change, ensure that the deployment is happening till the results are going on. So that is the basic fundamental concept of excellence, which I wanted to share. And that is how all these companies which are doing do it with that kind of a rigor. Like I said, this is an exercise which you may want to do. What's your vision? What is it that you'd want to be, want to have? What is it that you'd want to solve, or any other thing? Ensure that it is parameterized. It is measurable? There are aspects of SMART goals. It would always help to see if there are SMART goals. I'll not get into it. I am sure that you all know the acronym of SMART. So this is an exercise which would certainly help. Again, if a student wants to be an engineer, or wants to achieve something from an education excellence. So we spoke about health excellence. It could be about education excellence. It could be about relationship excellence. It could be various other aspects which should be there. So this is something which you may want to try. What is your vision? And so let's say right now your vision is to go on from academic to industry or entrepreneur. What is it? What are the aspects that you're looking for? So don't restrict it to a particular company, but what are the aspects that you're looking in that particular company? Because nobody ends up working only with a one particular company, and we continuously grow, evolve, and move on. It could be company, it could be an NGO, it could be our own entrepreneurship, or it could be just whatever that person wants to do, right? So do this, that would help. And typically in a business excellence assessment, what we do is we look at key business factors. Like I've been saying, the context. When I shared my own example of health excellence, I told you that I am 51 years old. My metabolic status is this. My son is 22 years old. My daughter is this. So I can't do various things. I can't just ensure that I can't, I mean, being a family man, I'll have to eat what my wife cooks, right? So we'll have to create our own context. So what is your context, keeping your vision in mind? That becomes really important. So just having a vision without the context might not help. Understand what your context is, and the key context or key factors are going to help you determine your vision. So if I can't say that, okay, I do want to be what, let's say, a 28-year or a 25-year-old person is there, because the context is very different, and it will not be very pragmatic to look at it. So look at your vision, look at the key context or the factors, and some of the aspects are your surroundings, your environment, your relationships, what you are doing, your competitive environment, why you are doing, if you're wanting to compete with somebody, the strategic context, why it is important for you, and your own performance improvement system in terms of how do you review your own performance, how do you measure, how do you manage, and so on. So this might be helpful for each one of us. It certainly helps me. And our own personal values. So we'll not do this exercise, but this is something which I'd urge. If you have to achieve your vision, if you have a mission in your life, if you have a vision for next 3-4 years, what is it that you'd want to do, and you know your business factors. So let's say if there is a student who would want to come first. Uh, and that student is getting 70%, 80%. Immediately you'll say, "Arey, this person is only 70, 80%, but the business context is not clear." But if I share with you that this student is in 7th standard, this student is an orphan, and this student is differently abled, the way we look at the entire thing would change significantly, right? So that is the context of that particular student. Yes, I can see a hand raised. Please go ahead and
Yes, sir. Uh, yes, sir. This is Navindu Desai from IIC. Sir, we have last 5 to 10 minutes planned for the question answer session.
yes, yes. So I'm about
Yeah.
to conclude. Just
Yeah.
last 2 slides, where I just wanted to share this. This is something which is called a 4-student model, which says what are the methods which are being implemented. It's as easy that a student studies, student passes. A student doesn't study, but still passes, which is Jai Mata Di, you just put in a tick. Student studies but doesn't pass, which doesn't mean that he'll not pass. And the final one is student doesn't study and student doesn't pass. What important aspect I wanted to share is the approach, deployment, learning, integration, level trends, comparative integration. That's something which you may want to look at is your own approach, which are systematic steps, the deployment, but more important is learning. How do you continuously learn? And that is where I mentioned the aspect of awareness. I mentioned the aspect of attention. I mentioned the aspect of intention. And those are the aspects will come from your learning and integration. The integration aspect goes beyond what we are doing. It goes to various other aspects. So that's something that you may want to look at, because our vision may not reside just only in what we are doing, but it would reside in the entire society at large and various other people. And this is something which just wanted to leave you with. It starts with the integration or the most important result. What is the result that you'd want to achieve? And if you want to achieve, what are the current levels? What are the trends? And what are the comparisons? So I have been using this. I really find it useful. I have still been discovering. It's not that I have reached, I'm an expert. I'm still leveraging this. And it's helping me in terms of traversing various bridges that I have in my life. Like I shared with you, my bridges of successes, failures, and so on. And it's all about asking questions to ourselves. What the questions could be around what, the questions could be around how, and the kind of answers that we give it to ourselves. So that was my last thing. Just wanted to share with you. I don't know if I've been very specific in terms of what you need to do in terms of crossing this bridge from academia to industry. But how do you enjoy this journey of crossing the bridge? And there'll be many more bridges which would be there. And focus on L and I of ADLI, that is learning and integration and comparison and targets in your own life. So with that, let me just pause and I'll be happy to listen to your views, not only questions, your views, any differing views, any contradictions, observations, open for the same, please. Let me stop sharing now.
Those who want to share their views or even ask questions can do so by raising hands. We'll go one by one, or even you can put it in the chat so that it will be easier access.
No questions. Somebody can also unmute and share their feelings. Keep that PIES in mind. As an MBA student, what can one do to choose which is the right industry for him or her to work for in the future? So that's from Lakshya. What it says is understand your mission, understand your career anchors, understand your core competences, and then choose an industry. So don't choose an industry first and then know yourself. Look at your own career anchors. There are lots of tools. There is a very good book by uh, on career anchors. Understand what your career anchors, what excites you. Some people like general management, some like specialist work, some like aspects which would be very generic in nature. So there are some 8 career anchors. So try to do this exercise, understand your career anchors, and then go for an industry. There is nothing right or wrong industry. That is what I have realized. As long as you have passion. Another good book is Ikagai in terms of how your passion, what you can, your passion and profession can come together. Network is often talked about, but for an MBA graduate, what is the right way and right people to network with? Uh, so network actually determines your net worth. So don't do networking which is transactional or self-centered. Some networking would actually help you over a long period of time. It could be over 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. But those networking have to be sincere. That is what I feel. Those relationships have to be really profound. So for me, networking is even a chaiwala with whom we interact. So that's networking. So it doesn't have to be, in my view, right? It can be different for different people. So your net worth is determined by your net working. So don't go with whom you need to meet, whom you don't have to meet, and so on. but be open-minded, have your own values, and that is best way to determine, help you define who all can be part of your network, who all can be part of your ecosystem. It's all about relationship, how open you are, how trustworthy you are, because this networks, you don't know when they will enhance your net worth over a long period of time. Yeah, there was a hand raised. Talking about industry academia gap, where do we lack from corporate point of view? Well, I don't think there's a gap as such, because corporates always want new ideas, diversities. So I don't think there's a gap per se. Maybe some amount of ego, because we feel we have done this and seen this, we know everything, but that's not the way it is. I actually am part of our task data administrative services. I make a point to be part of those conversations every time. It gives me significant amount of energy. And companies are now looking at D&I, diversity and inclusion, and multi-generational organizational context. So I don't think there is any gap. All those gaps are only in our minds. And I think it's basically an approach, being able to go and ask what is it that we can do. Of course, the way typically corporate does is quite different. My own learnings are I can't go and facilitate a workshop for millennials or students the way I do it for senior citizens. So that's more of gap, which I need to kind of cross that gap. It's not you guys. I have to do it. So the gap is with corporate people like me. That's where I feel that we need to bridge that gap. You guys are doing wonderful broadly, and just be, you are much more informative, you have lots of things, that competences to information to experiences to competences to knowledge to wisdom. So that knowledge and wisdom probably comes over a period of time. Once you apply that experience, you'll come across successes and failures. That is where the wisdom comes in. So that's a journey. It's going to be a journey. I'm not saying you don't have any youngsters don't have wisdom, but the wisdom, in my view, enhances as one progresses on life journey through various rich experiences. So while looking for a job, should we look for a job that pays a lot, or a job that values our passion and pays decently? So for me, the way I look at my career, and which I keep doing it always, is this might sound very strange. So I'll be completing 30 years in June. So for me, first 10 years was learning. Learning was more important than earning. That was very clear for me. The next 10 years, so when I say learning, it's not just learning, it's learning uh, as in a very experiential manner. The next 10 years was, or is, rather continuously applying, doing things, innovating, experimenting, and so on. So that's where the aspects of leadership, of not only managing self, managing others, managing business P&Ls, to managing ecosystems comes in. And the last aspect is giving it back to the society. But now I realize the way I looked at it, a very sequential way of learning, 10, 10, 10, is not working for me. So now I think I have to continuously keep on learning. I'm learning lots of things from each one of you over here, right? So that's my motive of being over here with each one of you. So I'm learning with you, and I'll also be doing things differently. Earlier, it was okay to have a 10-year cycle of learning, 10-year cycle of experimenting, doing, innovating, 10-year cycle of giving back. So after this, I have some coaching sessions. I'm working with some NGOs. So I think all of it has to happen simultaneously. But please find what is important for you and what works for you. So in the context of today's session, is there any book that you have recommended, you'd recommend us to read? Well, there are many books. Take up any book. I mean, leaders are readers. So I would certainly urge you to read as much as possible, and also implement those things. Like I said, Edgar Sheen's book on career anchors is a good one, which would help you to know good things. There's a very good book on grit, which I'm reading right now. I'm forgetting the author's name, which is pretty good. What helped me change my thing is biology of belief. That is also something which I really liked. Very technical book, very content heavy, but which has helped me on my journey. So my journey is further progressing now. on a spiritual journey as well. So Vaibhav, tell me when I have to stop. I know I already extended the
sir.
time.
Yes, sir. So due to paucity of time, we have to come to an end for this very energetic session. End for this session, but the learning you've provided to us, sir, will continue with us for our voyage in academic world. Also create a great camaraderie when we connect with industries. Sir, we thank you so much for taking out time and joining with us in order to spread your knowledge and expertise. We would love to host you in our college, and that will be a wonderful experience in itself. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Really appreciate, and thank you all for patient listening. I felt it was more of a monologue than a samvad. That's what happens. But thank you so much. I'd really love to meet each one of you and learn from each one of you. So thank you again. I really enjoyed. Questions were wonderful. I'm just sharing my email ID if anybody wants to connect with me. I'll be happy to connect. I'm available on LinkedIn also. I'm also learning. So idea is, like I said, I also keep on learning, networking, learning from small kids as well as the future of India. So that's my email ID. Look forward to interact with you. But wish you all the very best on your journey, and I'm sure each one of you would do very well on your journeys and excel in your life. So all the very best, and thank you for having me. Thank you, Navendu.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'm logging off now. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
बोला मैंने क्या बोला? तीन शर्ट